Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Cafecito Wednesday. As usual, it's midweek. We're excited for the weekend ahead, and I'm super happy to be here with my incredible friend, amazing Latina and powerhouse, Mercedes Sullivan. Hello, Mercedes. How are you? It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. We've made it so far, mi
We've
gente.
made it. Okay.
Happy day, Lizette. I am so excited to get to spend some time with you today. It's
Yeah, me
always
too.
an amazing time with you.
Yeah, and let me tell you, this is a conversation long overview because let me give you some context. Like Mercedes and I always, she's around tennis, and I know that she played tennis at some point. And so we've had some sort of conversation, but there's a lot of what's gonna happen today. We haven't had this conversation before, so it's gonna be super exciting. And today we're going to talk about leadership, sports, and movement. And that is a topic that I love. This is part two of a series of conversations we've been having. And let me start by sharing some research, Mercedes. And I know you've heard this before, but what blows my mind is learning that research shows that 94% of women in executive leadership roles played sports at some point in their lives. And we're not talking here about professional athletes and the people you watch on TV, just regular people like me, like Mercedes, like probably a lot of you, whenever you are at home or at the office today. And this stat really blows my mind. And out of this 94% women, nearly half of them say that the lessons they learn on the field in sports or on the court, whatever that is, directly shape how they lead today. So the conversation today is going to be, again, about leadership, sports, and movement. So again, welcome. And are you ready, mi querida Mercedes?
I am always ready. Let's go.
You're always ready.
Let's
Okay.
go.
So let's start from the beginning. Primero lo primero. So tell us about your connection with tennis. Like I know that you grew up in Mexico, and as we all know, tennis is not it didn't used to be back then like a very popular sport. It was a sport for the elite. Like you had to belong to this country club or whatever to be able to play tennis. So what was your connection with tennis? How did you grow up playing tennis?
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever told you this story.
No. That's why I'm so happy to be here. I want to
People
know
assume like maybe your parents played. No, my parents did not. Nobody in my family played tennis. So what happened is that I was born in Mexico City, and I was doing gymnastics. And then we moved to Acapulco when I was really young. And when my mom was looking for gyms, like they didn't exist near us, or they didn't look particularly safe for the shenanigans that I was doing. So she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can do karate and other stuff. So I started doing karate. And then I broke my brother's nose by accident. I promise.
How old were you?
Like 6 or 7 years old. And she's like, what are we? And then we lived next to like this small club that was very accessible club back then. And she's like, well, why don't you try this sport? Like you can hit things that don't break.
Not noses. You can hit balls.
Yeah. So I tried taekwondo. Then I'm like, I don't know. So I started doing dancing, and I was dancing and I liked it. But then when it came to ballet, I started giggling uncontrollably, and they kicked me out of the class. And I'm like, all right, I want to try this tennis thing because I couldn't. I thought it's so funny. So yeah, I started playing tennis when I was like 6 or 7, and just like at the club next door. Actually, my dog would escape the house and go and like pick up the balls, and they'd call us, "Your dog is ball boying again." And that's how I started. And there was like a little tournament for 7 and 8-year-olds that you only played at half the court. That's the first one. And then I started to fall in love with it. And then I realized you can just go play regionals. I went to play my regional. I wasn't particularly good. And then somehow I ended up nationals 10 and under. And then by the next year, I was like, you know what? I think I can be good at this. And I became really obsessed with it. And then I won my first national at 10 years and younger. But yeah, no connection whatsoever. It was literally that my mom was concerned that I was too violent to my brother. She's like, do that. And apparently dancing wasn't the place for me. So tennis it is.
Wow, that's something I didn't know about you, that you broke your arm.
I try to keep it quiet because it makes me sound like a crazy
Okay.
person. But I funnel. I promise you, I'm a pacifist, and I funnel my angriness in a better way now.
We need to watch out. You said that you were almost trying different things when you were growing up. So do you remember this moment of connection? You said I started to fall in love with you. What was that moment? What did that mean to you growing up, having this? I guess you went to school and this was like a leisure activity. But when did you do this mindset, that connection, and say, I could really be good at it? What did that mean to you growing up?
So even as a little girl, my brain has always been this crazy thing that doesn't shush. So I try to shush it by just going under the water and be still. But I very quickly realized that in the court, I could really focus on something and go in a flow state. No, I didn't know that then, but now I see that. And really focus on being a better version of me. It was something that I could compete against myself. Stop thinking, so no more anxiety for a while. And it was just something that gave me kind of it's like drawing or something else. It just gives you a connection to yourself and to being in the moment. But when I started to get a little bit better, I'm like, why not? And it started to become a little bit of my identity, as nobody else was doing that in my group. And it had the opportunity for me to travel and connect with other people from other areas. So for me, interestingly, the athletic piece was important. People don't believe me, but like the winning and the competing was my least favorite part. I like the training the most. I love the training because it quieted my mind and I didn't have to be stressed out. I mean, I would get nerves sick before tournaments when I was little. But I loved that I got to connect with people and learn from just like traveling. So it gave me an opportunity. For me, it was an opportunity to expand my worldview and to connect with myself and be at peace.
I love that. And what else is there to the story? Like, you were at this time 10, 11 years old, and as far as I understand, you went like all into tennis when you started realizing. So what happened in the following years? And I remember you told me a little bit of the story with your coach, because this is where we start, learning about mentors. And a good coach can be really, a good mentor that will, stay with you, the teachings throughout your life. And a bad coach can really, really go the opposite side. So, tell us like the rest of the story, the following years, 5, 6 years in, how did you evolve into the sport and the connection with your coach?
Yes, and I'll tell you this story, and then I'm going to connect it back to the importance of mentors, coaches, but specifically sponsors at work, and why they matter so much. So yes, at 10 years old, I won 10 and unders, and I got really competitive. I'm like, ooh, I can be good at this.
Ooh, I can win,
yeah. But very early, I knew that I didn't want to be fully professional, that I wanted to do this as a means to get a scholarship in the US. I remember that really young. So I asked my parents if I could go to this academy. So when I was 12, I lived in Texas for a year at the Nukes Tennis Academy. And they're like, you're so young. But I went. I started traveling, competing internationally at 11. I went to Dominican Republic for my first one, completely opened my eyes to like the world. So I started training really heavily at 11 and 12. I won 12 and unders. At 13, I won 14 and unders, and then 16 and unders. And that's where I said, okay, I need to go travel the world so I can compete in the world junior stage. And so I found a coach, and I'm like, you know what? My new goal is that I want to be top 50 in the world. Can I do that? And I'll never forget. His answer was like, no, you're too short. I'm 5 foot tall. And I'm like, huh. And so lesson number one, as it applies to here and to work, is do not be your own no. Because I could have been like, okay, cool, no, and that's it.
Yeah, you could have believed him because he was your coach, right? You were supposed to listen to your coach.
Yeah. But also what my biggest lesson there is like, why was I asking him? So I went for mentors without knowing, right? Because I was young, I was like 16. So I started asking other players around that were on the smaller side. I'm like, hey, like, do you think I can do this? Like, where can I go? And then they referred me to other coaches because they've been there. So your mentor is somebody kind of like that's been through your journey. So just like at work, if you want to be a manager, you want to ask a manager or what have you. Here is someone like me that had navigated the same thing. Finally, I found this right coach that changed everything for me because I asked the same question: can I be top 50 in the world? And he immediately said, what does it matter what I think? Do you think you can be top 50 in the world? And that changed everything. So when I double committed and said yes, he's like, you are short. We can't change that, but we can change how you train and then be very strategic. Completely changed how I actually train. And that goes back to the coach. Well, the mentor is someone that kind of navigated life like you. Your coach is someone that tactically is going to help you within your context to get better at your technique and your craft. I was training by this time. By the way, by this time I was starting to travel because I was 250 in the world by then. Within a year and a half, he got me to 28 in the world. So I was self-teaching in high school because at that point I was traveling. But what I learned from him is that he took me off the court. So instead of 8 hours that I was training, he's like, no, 4 hours on court. You need to do a lot more off the court. You're too short. You have to outrun people, but you have to outsmart them and outlast them. So the balance of my time was mental resiliency, strategy, and athlete first, tennis player second. Just like in business person first, HR or whatever your function is second. So those to me are the direction with the mentor and how they help me really redefine as to where to go. But trusting myself and not be my own no. The coach gave me really specific. And then the last piece of it, this sponsor. You remember I said that I wanted to go to college. Well, my dad. This is as crazy as a story as my story with you and how you we might and how we met. My dad went to the Mexican Tennis Federation, and by accident he saw like literally an envelope with my name on the trash. So he grabbed it, and it was actually an offer from Boston College to like play for them.
What?
Yeah, they thought it was like spam. But beyond all of this, I had a person in the federation that knew that I wanted to go to college. And he had been just working to introduce me to different coaches so that I could get there. So your sponsor is somebody that's kind of above you and can make decisions and can speak for you in rooms that you're not in. And especially for Latinas and minority, we do okay with coaches and mentors, but we don't have enough sponsorship. That sponsor actually helped me while I was 28 in the world and all that stuff. He helped me get connected to the universities outside of that random fact that just I think it's funny, but he was rooting for me and speaking for me and connecting me so that I can ultimately get to the level that I wouldn't have access to. So I hope all of this connected brings back not only my journey as a player and how my to like, yes, you can, si se puede, como que no. You still have to be realistic. If you, instead of being a victim, I'm like, okay, I'm short, I need to just be smarter or whatever. But also, if you don't have the right people and you're not very thoughtful about how you use each of these roles, it's really hard to make it. You are your own CEO. Make sure that you're hiring and firing the roles around you that are going to help you get to where you want to go.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And two things that are really interesting to me. Your second coach, when he told you, he didn't actually tell you what to do. He asked a question, and I think that's something that's very important when you are in a leadership, in a mentorship position. He asks you, what I think doesn't really matter. What do you think? Do you think you can do it? And the other thing is, you have to work with the skills that you have, right? And focus on building additional skills. I think it was so smart to tell you, let's spend 4 hours on the court, and the rest of the time you're gonna build the skills that you need to surpass, that because you were short and you couldn't do anything about it, right?
100%. And I apply that in the real world because Latinas, if you're listening, or Latinos, sometimes there's bias against us or something, and it's easy to say we're a victim. And some of it, yes. And in a lot of cases, I speak from a lot of privilege, but it was not always the case in certain contexts that I have. Take what you have that's like a potential negative and use it to your advantage. Like I tell people now, underestimate me, that'll be fun.
You think I'm sure I am, but I cannot outrun you, and I'm gonna learn.
They confuse the warmth for lack of ambition.
For sure,
you can have both. And so be you. If you try to be somebody else, you're not gonna make it. Be you and find the right people that support you in your context and tell you the truth, but in your context. Because if you abandon yourself to something else, even if you make it, it's not gonna be fulfilling.
Right, for sure. Wow, I'm loving this. So let's keep going with the story because we're gonna be threading it, the learnings through the story. So when did you stop playing competitively? Yeah, you got here to the States because you got a scholarship. You played through college. What happened then?
Yeah. So I did my juniors tennis. So I was traveling up to 9 months a year. Sometimes it was rough, but nothing compared to college. College was rough. So I went from Acapulco and traveling to Boston College. And there's like this weather channel and there's seasons and it's cold and I don't know what's going on. And I also went from teaching myself to college. So it's a lot. And I had like my first impression there. And tennis saved me because it's what had me like, I'm struggling, I'm not connecting, I'm not feeling like I'm belonging, but my teams has me and I got this. But the schedule was rough. And we were training like at 4 a.m. before class, and almost competing every weekend. It was like 3 matches a day. I'd never been more sore in my life. And I realized then that I actually didn't love competing or tennis. I liked the training. That's when I actually realized. And it was fascinating to me because I was like, two things. One, I'm like, wow, I've attached my identity so that if I win and I am doing these things, I'm valuable and I'm worth it. And at the beginning of my freshman year, I think I won 16 matches straight, and then I couldn't win. It was just rough. So I'm like, am I just not good as a human? So there was that. And then the second, I'm like, I don't enjoy this as much. And it's so funny when I said after college that I wanted to quit, the amount of people that basically told me a version of what a waste of talent. I'm like, huh. Because for me, it wasn't the playing and the doing. It was that I got to be healthy in my body. I got to meet these incredible people and I got to travel the world. Like that's what was amazing.
Wow.
For many people, is the actual sport. Like I don't even watch it
winning
now,
in
right?
the sport for you was something else.
I don't even watch it, which is funny. And because my mom still like sends me these people and I'm like, I don't know who they are. But it's fascinating, right? Because it's very important that how you build your identity and then how people view you versus how you view yourself. And even I had a coach that told me that I wasn't going to make it too far because I was too nice, because I was always being like, oh, this person's great. I hope that person wins. If that person doesn't win,
So it didn't bother you like, somebody else, from your team.
I wanted everybody to win. I'm like, I guess you can. But I mean, I did want to win. It was a very complicated thing. But at the end of the day, I felt like people were seeing me as the athletes and the outcomes, not me. And I always felt kind of like my actual me, my human being, not my human doing, was rejected. So I had to put this persona of the doing. And hence I was like, oh, if I do the performance, if I perform, I'm good. If not, I am not. And we'll talk about this, but later in life it came with a identity crisis and who are we? But back then I stopped after college. I ran 2 marathons after that, and then I'm like, I'm done.
So that you stopped playing tennis, you started running because this conversation is also about movement, and how important it is to keep moving in life, whatever that means for you. At that point in your life, it was tennis, and then it was running. How? Because I'm guessing your body, your soul asks you to keep moving in some direction. What was that for you? What replaced that space of movement?
Yeah, and I love that we're having this conversation because at first I was like an amazing athlete, so I spent all my time. Then these 2 marathons were rough for me because I wasn't a long distance runner. I was like, I finished. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm not exercising again. And for a few years I didn't. And my mental health was, I mean, I could see it so clearly. I couldn't focus as well. I felt little, I couldn't sleep very well. So it really, I have the AP testing, like just knowing from moving to no moving, what it can do, like destroy your mental peace. And it doesn't have to be running, and because that's a very able body situation. Right now, I run a little bit, but mainly I walk every single morning. I do not miss it. I do not miss 4 miles in the morning, and just I take dance breaks. Like literally, I sing to the spatula. Adios, le pido, and anything. And it's just so important to keep connected with your body. But one thing that I do want to make sure that we talk about is resiliency. And then what does that mean to be in your head versus in your body?
Yeah.
I learned to be so good at just ignore my body's pain so that I could keep competing, that I learned to abandon and not listen to my body. So even
Mm.
after, when I was working at work super hard, I was like, mental mode, focus, ignore your body that is tired. You got this.
Wow.
And I had to literally learn not just to keep moving, but to be embodied and learn how to actually feel my feelings, which is very connected to all things, so that I knew when to actually push, when to not push, and to catch myself when I'm shaming myself to earn rest. So all of those things together are now things that I'm working through as we speak.
Wow. So even though you stopped playing the sport, like these learnings, like, I have to, I have to keep going, training, because I'm playing for a team that stayed in your professional life. I have to keep going. And that disconnected you from what you were
Yes.
actually feeling. That's wow. Never heard
But you
that
know what? And
before.
I want to connect it back to us Latinas, especially Latinos. We are like hustle, 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 do all the work,
Yeah.
but we don't give permission of ourselves to
Yeah.
rest. We have to
Yeah.
earn it. Be grateful,
Yeah.
mijita. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but I have to rest too. And I want to remind everybody that the best athletes in the world are the best at resting.
Mm.
Active resting. It's part of your strategy. So rest is part of your
Recovery.
strategy. And just make sure that as you keep moving, you're also introspecting and understanding, am I connected enough with my body to know when this is too much? And like my first coach reminded me, you don't need to work the 8 hours. I mean, I was, and I was 200 in the world, but training like significantly less got me to 28. It was just focused. And then I lost that. I lost this. He had me actively resting. I lost that, and I lost my everything after that.
That's so important, and I'm glad that you brought this to the table, because I think we're kind of becoming more aware of how important it is to rest, to recover, whether it's from sports, from work. I think uh, we've seen a lot of leaders talking about, I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, and then you start feeling bad, like damn, I need my 8 hours of sleep, and if no, I'm a bad person. So, and I think it has a lot to do with what you're saying. Being able to rest actually allows you to show up fully, right?
And it's energy management, not time management. Know
Mm.
yourself. So one of the things that was amazing about being a professional athlete is that we did a lot of research on when I worked, when I
Mhm.
peaked or not. Like, do you
Mhm.
perform better in the morning, afternoon? And so we can do the same at work. It's fascinating to me that I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew to the detail what I could eat or where I could sleep and when to meditate for tennis.
Mhm.
At work, I had no idea when I work better, like when I need the break. So I had to put a lot of effort to translate it here to leadership, to when am I going to show up best, when to schedule your time, and book. I book breaks every single day. Take a break to look at the tree, ground yourself. These
Mm.
micro, these micro spiritual, emotional, and physical changes and pauses are really going to help you keep going. If you just go, 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 you're gonna burn.
Yeah.
And oxygen mask first. You cannot win if you do not rest. And just think of it as, am I adding that as part of the things? It's a task that you need to consciously put in front of you.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure. So, going back to the time you played, and for us Latinas, sometimes we feel like we need to work as double. We have to prove ourselves. Work harder in order to be seen.
Mhm.
Did you feel that back then, and has that transferred to nowadays, or how what did that teach you? That you
Hundred
felt
percent,
yeah.
100%. One, the if I don't perform, I'm not worth it. So take a look to introspect and pause. Why? What is the story that I'm making in my head about me?
Mm.
Like, if I stop performing or stop doing, am I still
Yeah.
lovable? Because if that's not really what you think, please go to therapy. You can heal. Or ask yourself and remind yourself, no, I'm worthy because I exist. Like, we don't love a dog because he performs, right? We love it.
Yeah.
Why don't we treat ourselves the same way? So absolutely that. Then we have our culture, right? Be grateful, I do this and like do more. And especially the woman with the Marianismo and abandon yourself. I had to relearn a lot of that. And
Mm.
every night, this is what I've done for the past 5 years. I end with, what if this is mine? What if this is theirs? And what if this is ours? So that I
Mhm.
am not performing to solve for people, and I only take care of what's mine. And
Yeah.
then at one point, am I overperforming so that I can get something else in return? Versus so all of these like deeper things. But yes, I pushed so hard, especially in my last job, to like, if I work harder, you're gonna validate me, you're gonna promote me. And when I let go of that and I start working on who I am and really my worth and my value, and then still listen to the feedback that was helpful, my life entirely changed. And you came to my life, and a job actually came to me. Find yourself, find the right people around you. If you are overperforming to just be seen, you're not in the right context, move.
Yeah, for sure. But it's so difficult, once to really, that realization, like, I have to overwork here, or I have to prove myself, and, finding new ways, new paths, new doors, new mentors. It's really difficult, right?
It's really, and it's, but
really
sometimes you
difficult.
don't have the privilege. Sometimes you don't have the privilege, but baby step.
Exactly. But you have, at least you have to be aware of it in order to, get out of that. I wouldn't say it's a comfort zone, but it's sometimes what we're used to proving ourselves a lot, to overworking, to all of that. And, just realizing it doesn't have to be that way. I think it's super powerful. It's the first step, to move forward and to finding new paths.
Self-awareness. We have a lot of things from our culture, and then like both things. We can evolve. I want to remind all my Latinos, we can evolve our culture and still be true to it.
Yeah.
You can be who you are based on your values and behaviors, but then adapt it to reality. You can be grateful and ask for more. You can have boundaries so that people do not put stuff that's theirs on you. Self-awareness, movement, and community.
Yeah. Community.
Right community will make sure that you can dare to go bigger. That's what United Latinas has done for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't believe it's, we're on top of the 30 minutes, but this is so good. So let's talk about reflection and legacy. Even though you haven't played the sports, the tennis, in many, many years, if you could speak to your younger self, that girl holding the racket that was told that you were too short and you were not going to be, able to make it to the top 50, what will you tell her now as a leader? Because you've been very successful in your career. Now you lead teams, organizations. What will you tell that little girl about confidence, leadership, and trusting the process?
I'm so freaking proud of you that you're like, I want to be bold like you now. Because I was almost like, I don't care. I know what I want and I'm doing it. But I also will say, but when you go older, I hope you take time to introspect and carry what works for you now. There's things that got you here in your context to win, but there's things that are not going to carry with you forward. So take what worked from there, but also ensure that you continuously redefine who you are. Introspection is the single most important thing that I think we can do. And then understanding our needs and wants. And then from there, assessing, is this still something that's going to serve me in the future? And to make it okay to grieve and honor the part of us that no longer help us carry forward. But yes, I'm proud of that little girl for getting me here. But I'm also proud of you right now for shedding the parts of me that no longer will serve me. And it's been a really hard grieving process to shed some of that and feel okay with it and rebuild myself for the future. But as part of legacy, the last thing I'll say to that is the one thing that I carry with that is not my purpose, is that I want Latinas and Latinos to know that you can look like this and speak like this and be short like me or messy or whatever, and you can win as you. Just make sure that you know who you are so that you can go get your dreams.
And it is your own championship, right? That you have to make it. Yeah. It's your own race. It's your own, championship. And I know I love that, Mercedes. And before we leave, I just wanted to close with a reflection about movement, right? Because I'm guessing this has happened to you. It has happened to me at some points in my life where I feel staggered, like when I stop moving, whether that's physically or professionally. It's really a very uncomfortable place to be in. So let me just tell you that movement has no age, no stage, and no permission required. So I just want to send out this message that you are allowed to try new things. If you feel that you're lacking this space of movement, whatever that means to you, you are allowed, regardless of how you feel about it. Like if you feel you can do this, you can learn a new thing, you can learn a new sport, go ahead, get out there, move and try a new thing. It is so rewarding and so refreshing. And just like Mercedes, she tried karate, it didn't work out.
Do not be hitting people.
I don't hit people on the nose. So any final reflection, Mercedes, on your end?
Yes, everything's socially constructed and we determine who we are. Movement is a critical part of it, introspection. And when you do not know who you are or where you're going and you feel like you want to get still to cocoon, that can be movement too, by looking inward and understanding that if I don't know who I am, I'm going to take a step forward and at least say, I'm going to start here. For me, when that was my moment, I joined United Latinas and I found my community. And then I said, you know what? I am a Latina, and based off that, I'm going to try new things and I'm going to keep moving. And yes, absolutely. Give yourself permission to know that you have a lot more agency than you think. And there's a lot of us that see you and are rooting for you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mercedes. This has been great. I really was looking forward to having this conversation. So everyone out there, keep going, keep moving towards your goal, your ambitions. You need no permission. You have agency, as Mercedes very well says. So thank you for joining us, Mercedes. Thank you so much. Un placer siempre verte, estar contigo. Y bueno, espero que nos veamos en la cancha un día de estos.
Sí se puede. No, me vas a ganar. No. All right.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Happy Wednesday. And see you in the next Cafecito next week.
Yep.
Bye, everyone.